The Portfolio Committee on Basic Education has now adopted the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill. It covers a range of provisions from the new compulsory school starting age and penalties for parents and caregivers who don't ensure that children are in school. While the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Basic Education joins me now, Bongiwe Mbinqo-Gigaba. Thank you very much for your time tonight. We appreciate it. This bill was a long time in the making. Do you believe that we now have basic education laws that are modern and inclusive?
Good evening to you and the viewers at home. We are on our way there. We are on our way there. At least now the part of the committee is done. So we are still going to have a parliamentary debate and vote on the issue. Afterwards, we are going to take it to the National Council of Provinces, and then when they are done, it is going to be then, after it has been signed by the president, below. So it's still a work in progress.
And I think that I suppose, gives us something to look forward to in terms of how those National Assembly debates will shape up, because there are some issues that parents still have still have questions around, and where there will still be no doubt a level of debate. Let's talk about the admission grade. Grade R, the new compulsory school starting age. What's the reasoning here?
Grade R actually is compulsory now, but when they started to make the amendment, grade R was not a part of the schooling. So what is going to happen now, as soon as these amendments are made and they are being effected into law, grade R will be compulsory. But I must just also mention that you understand that ECD also has just been moved from the Department of Social Development to Department of Basic Education. So actually, at the end, what will happen is that the Department of Basic Education will have to account from the child from birth in terms of giving quality education.
Yeah, and that's, I wonder how practical and how easily it's going to be rolled out between both the urban and the rural areas. We see a lot of gaps still in the provision, particularly of ECD. But I want to come back to just the admission age. And as you say, it's just been formalized now in terms of making grade R the compulsory age. But it's a debated issue. Some parents prefer to wait a little longer. Isn't it worth considering that this should be discretionary, perhaps with a certain limits? Because some children may be ready to go to school earlier, and some might benefit from the delay of a year or two.
The age for going to school at this point is 6 years, that is now to grade 1. But now when you put grade R, it's going to be grade R. But teachers, as they are there, I think they will be better placed to see the development of a child and how the child carries the work, whether the child can be able to be moved to the grade that follows at a very early age. I think that it's going to be able to be determined by the teachers that will be handling that particular child. But of course, whatever that happens with a child, there is no way that the department would do without parents' involvement.
So what you're suggesting is that there might be some elasticity around this, and perhaps we do get, some of the education experts as well to come in and chat to us around the flexibility on that point. But I saw some cheers around homeschooling. Explain to our viewers the provisions on homeschooling.
What the department is recommending on the amendment was that the homeschool learners must be registered. The current situation now is that they are not registered. So the recommendation is that they must be registered. And now and then there needs to be air monitoring. Somebody must monitor the child. And of course, because many parents were of the view that they wouldn't want people to come to their homes. But I think there is an agreement that a parent and the department must agree on a venue that is safe and conducive for them to meet, so that there needs to be a monitoring and assessment of whether the child really is getting a curriculum that is right for that particular child.
So just to understand, the parents or whomever the caregiver or the supervisors of that homeschooling element will be able to do it in their homes or wherever they traditionally do it, but in terms of the assessment would go to a mutually decided place, not necessarily the home where the education...
No, not necessarily. They can still get their own assessor. The department is saying, get your own assessor. But what the department at least want, that there needs to be an agreement, is that register your child with the Department of Basic Education, so that the department is aware that there is a child that is getting a homeschooler. And even the issue of monitoring, it's not something that is going to happen on daily basis. There would be a date agreed once or twice a quarter, or once or twice in a semester, for a person from the department to come and monitor that child. So an assessor, as long as a qualified assessor and the department would agree that this is a qualified assessor, you can have your own assessor as a parent. And in most cases, these children, by the way, are given this education by their own parents. So the department doesn't stop that.
All right. Well, let's move on then to the language policy. Again, another issue, of quite some debate. There's an important part relating to the language policy of individual schools, essentially leaving it up to the school governing body and then the HOD for final approval. And that has garnered quite a bit of debate as well. Is there room for appeals on this in individual cases? And, do you foresee that this is a part of the law, the proposed law, that will be tested later?
Whether it will be tested, it's something else. But the issue of language and admission policy, what the department is saying here is that when there is a need for an intervention of the head of department in any province, that the powers must be given to the head of department to make an intervention, to come to the school and be able to see whether the child can be admitted to the school or not, but also if a school is classified as a particular language school, whether it's seen as a Xhosa school or as an Afrikaans school, and the parent feels that strongly they want their child to be admitted there, let the head of department be the one that decides whether the child must go or not go to that school.
Okay, well, we'll see how this all...
in consultation with the school governing body.
All right, well, we'll see how it all pans out. As you say, it goes then to the National Assembly, then to the NCOP, and then if it all passes muster, to the President's desk for passing into law. Thank you for just sharing and clarifying some of the aspects of the new Basic Education Amendment Bill. Portfolio Committee on Basic Education Chair Bongiwe Mbinqo-Gigaba.